Well, hello and welcome to the editing room. I'm AJ O'Neill, your Beyond Code instructor, and what you're about to watch is extracted from a live mentorship session on loops. It's part of a playlist which you can find in the doobly-doo. In this section, we're going to talk about differences between for and forEach that are uniquely specific to JavaScript. Although some of these concepts could apply to other languages, they're fairly esoteric, and I won't be offended if you just skip on to the next section. That all said, there are actually two things that apply specifically to JavaScript. One, I believe, applies to some other languages. JavaScript has a concept called promises, which is, in simple language, it answers the question, when. So when the user clicks a button, what do I do? That, in modern JavaScript, I believe in modern JavaScript, you can get a promise for that. It used to be only what they call event listeners, but essentially, for many events in JavaScript, you can ask the question when, and what you get back is a promise. And a promise is basically saying, I cannot guarantee that the process is complete, but I can guarantee that I will either tell you when it is complete or I will tell you that it has failed. Well, I guess that would still be completion. I will tell you whether it is completed either successfully or with failure. And that is considered to be a promise. I don't think I want to go too much into this right now for this session, because this is specific to JavaScript and it's kind of outside of the scope of loops on their own. But in a for loop, you can use a keyword called await, which will tell the program to construct the loop. It basically rewrites the loop is what it does. It transpiles the loop. I don't know if you've heard that term, but it basically means the code doesn't operate as written, but it operates in another way that is it's being shown as written one way for the sake of ease of readability, but it is actually being executed in a different way. And so when you use await in a loop, which this is not the correct way to use it, but I think this technically might work. I could do this, I think. I think I can do this. This would not make any sense because we don't need to await 0. I'm going to run this and see if it works. No, I'm not because I know it won't for other reasons. But basically, if you have a value that is not established yet, the value does not yet exist, you just have basically a placeholder saying this is a answer to the question of when the value does exist, which is what the promise is. If you use await, it will allow you to iterate through the for loop, and for some reason that is far beyond me, they did not implement the same functionality with forEach when they went back and implemented it with for, which to me is very strange because it seems that if you're going to change the way the language works, you might as well make it ergonomically change across the board so that people don't have to learn two different ways of doing something when you're changing the language anyway. But for whatever reason, they did not provide a way for you to use await with a forEach loop. So that's one difference that is a technical difference, that it is okay if you don't understand what that means yet, but it is important that you understand that there is a thing in JavaScript called async await, and that async await only works with a C-style for loop. It does not work with a modern style forEach loop or map loop.
Okay. Yeah. The async and await, those terms have been introduced.
Yeah.
In our classes.
Yeah. So that's the thing that you need to stick in your brain. Is see how for is yellow here, and if I type await, it's also yellow. The yellows go together. If you can remember that, well, I put that's not where it would go. Sorry, it would actually go over here. But they're both yellow. And that's because they can go together. forEach down here is not that color, and it doesn't go together. If that's what you remember, that's what's important. That's what's most important, because when you understand more about promises, then you will come back to understanding why the for loop is important for that use case. Is that good enough to log away for now?
Yes, that is good enough to log away for now.
Okay, we could do another session on promises, which I feel are far less complex than people make them out to seem, but that is not for right now, for sure. And then the other issue is that in a for loop, you can have secret properties on an item. So I cannot show this to you, but I can explain it. Imagine that we were able to somehow tag a secret 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be, counting from 0, this would be 5th. Imagine we were able to tag a secret 5th element in here, which was, say, favorite book. And I'm going to put Mistborn, although that's not necessarily my favorite book, but it is in my top 10 list for sure. Might be my favorite book. This is not a secret hidden field, and I'm not going to show you how to make secret hidden fields, but what I want you to know is that in JavaScript, it is possible to have secret hidden fields. And this is not just JavaScript. There are many languages in which it is possible to create secret hidden fields. So the problem, and actually an even better example of this, I will give you an even better example of this. What if we had a secret hidden row? Let's say that Mary was not a row that could normally be accessible. It was secret. Now, this doesn't make any sense, and I can't provide a good example for where this does make sense, because honestly, I think that when people use it in JavaScript, it doesn't make sense anyway. But it is there, it exists. It is possible to have secret, hidden properties of something. A for loop will access secret, hidden properties. Meaning that if I were to show you how you can have a secret, hidden row, a for loop would go over it anyway, and a forEach loop would not. And what that is called is an innumerable property. Well, rather it is called a non-enumerable property. So a forEach will not enumerate non-enumerable properties or fields, but a for loop will enumerate non-enumerable properties and fields. So this is... Go ahead.
You're saying enumerable, you're talking about these secret hidden fields?
So enumerable would mean that it is not secret or hidden, that it is readily available and enumerable. Enumerable means that it can be counted, as in it could be counted in. I can enumerate the number of team members that I have on my team. If I had a secret hidden team member, I would not enumerate them on the roster, perhaps.
Yeah, okay.
So again, these are areas where it's not productive to go into this right now, but it is productive to know that they exist and there are circumstances where you can encounter them. I hope that you don't, because I think that it is, from my perspective, it is unreasonable that people do these things in the first place. It's a behavior that should not exist, but unfortunately it does. And so it is, ultimately, you will not be a senior engineer if you do not know the differences, at least not in JavaScript, if you don't know the differences between the way that for and forEach work. But it's edge cases. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful to you at all, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more like this, click subscribe and ring the bell. I do live streams every weekday. Those are available on the live stream channel in the description. And then I upload the edited versions to the Beyond Code Bootcamp channel, also in the description.